Jonathan Perry. From what I have deduced by watching you and Aaron Smith-Levin and others, I can only assume there are Scientologists that are monitoring all this material and watched Going Clear and have to spy on Leah Remini's podcast and anyone talking out about Scientology, maybe even go as far as to have to transcribe them in a report. What I'm wondering is who gets to be exposed to this and what would they make of it? I would think that obviously they would think of you guys as liars and SPs and would not believe one word you said. But what happens when they get to OT3 or 7 or 8 and have watched the Jason Big A video and see that they were being completely accurate? How can they be so hardcore to not question it? Someone has to be sitting in the room writing reports on everything you say? I could be wrong, but it makes me wonder. Anyways, thanks. Hey, Jonathan, thank you for this. And I am not 100% sure that there is somebody monitoring every single one of my Q&A episodes and videos and all of that, in addition to everything Karen and Tony and everybody else, Aaron Smith-Levin and all the other creators out there who put stuff up, is obviously Leah and Mike. Now, I'd say with 100% surety that Leah and Mike's podcast is monitored quite closely, but I just don't know what kind of manpower the church puts forward in terms of monitoring little old me, because especially over the years, a lot of my content is not even Scientology related, or only distantly so. But I believe that there are probably people who volunteer or who work for the Office of Special Affairs to do that kind of monitoring work. Actually, I think when it comes to the real monitoring stuff, I think that's all done pretty much in-house, not volunteer work. I think the Sea Org guys do that stuff. And I know for sure that it is a very small group of people who are doing that monitoring, because they can't let just any old person do it. Let me tell you a little bit about the Office of Special Affairs, and we have talked about this in the past, and I did an interview with a woman who actually worked in the Office of Special Affairs for many years. Actually, I've done a couple interviews, one with Karen De La Carriere. We talked about OSA. She worked in OSA. And then also this other set of interviews on the Scientology experience. And those were both, it made it pretty clear, talking to those folks who worked in OSA, that you have to want to work there. You don't just get assigned to work in the Office of Special Affairs as a Sea Org member. And remember that everybody in OSA is a Sea Org member. They're not just regular Scientologists or staff members. They do have staff who work in the Office of Special Affairs at all the churches, but we're talking about at the monitoring level, at the level where, this kind of, where they're policing and stuff. And that kind of thing is done by the Sea Org mostly. So, okay, so you have to want to be there. And you have to already be hardcore as a Scientologist. They don't just let, any old person into the Office of Special Affairs. They need people who are loyal, because they're going to see things and they're going to hear things that your regular average Scientologist is not going to see or hear. But let's be clear that the Scientology mindset is one of, it's a savior mindset. It's a belief set or an ideology or religion that believes that it has the truth with a capital T, and everything else in the world is tainted, corrupted, or just flat out wrong. Everything. Scientology, to Scientologists, is the only thing in the entire universe capable of freeing man and releasing us from the trap of this physical universe. This thing we're all stuck in with these bodies and this mess and all this crap. And this is their viewpoint. And when you get into a dedicated headspace about that, it takes over your life. So this is your primary belief. This is the way you view the entire world. This is the lens through which you view it. So you're not giving any credence or credibility to people like me. I'm the bad guy. Leah's the bad girl. Mike's the bad guy. Tony's the bad guy. Aaron's the bad guy. We're the enemy. We're not people to be listened to. We are people to be monitored. We are people to be watched and harassed and shut up. We are the people who need to be shut down. That's who we are. So keep that attitude in mind, right? This is every Scientologist believes that about us. So, and especially the Sea Org. Oh my God, the Sea Org hates my guts. There is no one in the Sea Org who thinks I'm a cool guy. Not anymore. They all hate me. So, that's kind of where that's at. So they're not going to listen to my words and go, Shelton has a point. Not going to do that. And as far as the OT material goes, you asked an interesting thing. You said, what happens when they get to OT 3 or 7 or 8 and have watched the Jason McGay video? They don't get to OT 3 or 7 or 8. They're already there. The people who monitor the internet have to be OTs for the most part because we spew OT data. I've talked about the L's. I've talked about all the OT levels. I've talked about superpower, the key to life, rollback, the truth rundown. All of those are confidential. The OT levels especially are the most, powerful of that stuff as far as Scientology is concerned. But all of those things are confidential. Very few people in Scientology have experience with all of those things. And if they do, they are upper level Scientologists. And those guys are not a dime a dozen. There are not lots of them. So they're a little, being few and far between. They have a small, kind of cohort of these people. And these are the people they rely on in order to do this kind of monitoring work. They could theoretically get people to do stuff, for like amends and stuff like that. But generally speaking, they're not going to do security work with people who are in trouble with the church or doing amends or doing some kind of makeup project. They need people who are trustworthy and loyal for obvious reasons. So that's why there's probably a fairly significant backlog if they mean to be monitoring all my stuff. And what I'm saying is how they go about doing it. And it's the best of my knowledge, everything I'm saying is true. Then they're probably quite a bit backlogged, because I produce a lot of content, at least on my channel. Who knows on the other stuff? But that's my conjecture about it, based on what I do know and have seen and learned and knew about OSA while I was in the Sea Org. So I hope that, I hope that clarifies it for you. Thanks for asking.